If you were born on the 8th, the 17th, the 26th, or if you Lifepath 8, you are learning about the proper use of power. Power is the ability to control, influence, or direct people, energy, or events. And as an 8, you have access to an infinite amount of spiritual power over the material realm. But understand that this power only activates through pressure. And this is because number 8 is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is the planet of karma. The reason why 8 is a karmic number is because 8 is the number of power. And so if this power is not tied or attached to karma, 8s will just be able to just do whatever the fuck they want to do and just get away with it. This is where the term "with great power comes great responsibility" comes from. It comes from Saturn. With great power comes great responsibility is a principle of Saturn, which rules the number 8. And also rules Aquarius and Capricorn, so they both act like this too. But as they understand that you are motivated by reasoning, cause and effect. And so you only be able to access this level of power when you're put in a situation that forces you to use it. And so as an 8, every time you get this close to your breaking point, you'll awaken a new level of power. But you can only tap into it when you are doing situations, when you are in situations, or when you're setting goals for yourself, or doing something that forces you to push past your limitations. And so if you don't do something that's challenging, if you don't do something that requires maximum effort, then you will never grow in power and you'll never be satisfied in life. As an 8, you want to progress in power. Spiritual power, like the feeling of power. You want to increase that feeling of power. And so as an 8, whatever gives you that feeling of power, you're going to want to keep doing that. Because the feeling of power for 8 is the most fulfilling feeling out of any other emotion. I'm an 8 myself. I know these things. 8s, we would rather be respected than to be loved, because respect requires power. For people to respect you, you have to have power. And when people respect you, that shows that you have power. Or at least people think you do. And that's a power in and of itself, because that's psychological power. And most power is psychological anyway. But as an 8, you need to be put through situations where your back is going to be against the wall. You need to put yourself in situations where you're uncomfortable, where you're fearful as an 8. And because 8 identifies with power, 8s are afraid of fear. And the reason why they're afraid of fear is because when an 8 feels fear, this means fear is just your intuition telling you that you're in danger, or your spirit telling you that you could potentially be in a dangerous situation. And so when an 8 feels like they're in danger, they feel powerless. And this gives them an identity crisis. And so anything that makes an 8 feel fearful, they don't want nothing to do with it. But as an 8, if you don't do the things that you're afraid of, you're never going to become successful. You'll never become successful. Michael Jordan was born on the 17th. He said what motivated him was his fear of what he wouldn't become. As soon as you have a desire as an 8, you're going to have fear as well. And the reason why that fear comes with that desire is because 8s take everything personal. They hate being told no. And so 8s are afraid to pursue the things that they really want in life, because they're afraid of how they're going to see themselves if they're not able to do it. They're afraid of what that would do to their ego if they were to fail. And so a lot of 8s are afraid of failure. But understand, as an 8, when you fail, it just gives you more motivation, because that failure is humiliating, and it will either literally cause you to that failure will literally either destroy you at a mental level, or it will force you to not let that be your last moment. A negative moment be your last moment. It forces you to take that failure and turn it into a positive, or it tells you that you need to go even harder the next time. Because that feeling of failure was so unsettling that you don't want to feel that shit ever again. And so it makes 8s do their best at everything that they do, and doing it right the first time. But as they understand that you have to do things that brings you close to your breaking point, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to awaken a new level of power. It's the same thing when it comes to working out. When you're working out, you have to literally push your muscles past limitations in order for them to grow and build strength. You have to tear them and break them down. And so it aids life. It aids life is very similar to the process of tearing and building muscles. That's the eight's entire life. They go through situations that break them, but what doesn't kill you as an 8 makes you stronger. And so as long as you refuse to give up, as long as you refuse to quit on yourself, as long as you never refuse to give up on you, you will always come out of the situation. You just can't give up. But the only way that you'll be able to access that is if you put yourself in a situation that makes you feel pressure, or that makes you feel fear, makes you feel resistance. Because the 8s activate under karma. Karma is cause and effect, give and receive. 8s need a reason to do something. And what not better reason to do something than to be in a situation that forces you to have to do it. The only thing that's going to satisfy you as an 8 is overcoming your fear. And that's really what power is. That's really what power is. It's you being able to overcome something that you once feared. And so as an 8, the more fears you overcome, the more powerful you're going to feel, and the more powerful that you are going to be. And so you have to do things that are difficult. You have to do things that make you push past your limitations, or else you'll never be able to access that power. It's inside of you, but you need a reason to use it. The reason why 8s are not just given access to just that level of power at all times is because it could be very destructive. And so the universe set it up in a way to where we have to earn it. And so we kind of got nerfed a little bit. But yeah, as an 8, as long as you keep that in mind, nothing will get in the way. Nothing will ever stop you. To book a reading or to access my numerology book, go to my website, isaiah47.net, and you can also find that in the link in my profile bio. And have a great rest of your day.